Alright, so in this episode, in this video, in this movie, in this piece of documented thought processes that I am doing a video for myself and for anybody else that wants to benefit from it, take this information as you will. I wanted to document how I am going to and how I have achieved and will continue to achieve a life of perfect happiness and bliss. Perfect happiness. And that is through happiness and resistance. You need to plan the perfect day um, every single day. And sometimes to some people that sounds extreme, like perfect day. Yeah, I mean, why? Well, you don't want it to be perfect all day, and then it would be boring and upsetting. And I'm like, then that's not perfect. So a perfect day would be a perfect balance of whatever it is that would make your day perfect. So for each individual person, it's a perspective of your idea of what was a perfect day or what was a happy day, what was it something that made you happy. And then because it made you happy, you would look back at that day as it being a perfect day. So if it's a perfect day, then you now classify it as a perfect day. And then if you have 7 perfect days in a row, then it's a perfect week. And then 30, and it's a perfect month. And then all the above, this and or but. So it is all in the eye of the beholder based on how you want it. So if you knew where you wanted to be in the end, why wouldn't you understand the process that it takes to get there? So if you wanted to be the best at anything, just understand that the best currently out there had to be somewhere in between nothing and the best at some point in time. So if they would have understood where they were when they were and that that was the place that they needed to be who they wanted to be at the end, they would be happy. They wouldn't be anxious. They wouldn't be depressed. So if you can plan your life and think about your life in the sense of I want to be in this person, and then you can calculate out all the goals, then you can be happy with your life every single day knowing that you are on track. Well, how will you know that you're on track unless you make a track? So you want to make a goal list, but you don't want to make it so rigid to the point where you can't make it, and then you get upset, and then you get anxious, and then you get depressed. You are a human being. You make mistakes. You're not going to be able to constantly hit the mark, and you're not going to be able to constantly stay out of your emotions and feelings. So, this is why, coming from this standpoint of understanding what the possibilities are and what you've done in the past, what you're going to do in the future, what you could do in the future, and how much progression you've made and how much progression you can possibly make. Look at the years in the past. I mean, how many times have you been able to grow that fast? I mean, it really isn't that fast that you really think it is. If you could just understand that it's going to take a little bit more time, and then you mark that time out, but then you give yourself that time, and then you give yourself that dedication and that focus. Because if you understood that the results of what you want is just focusing on what you want, then you can plan your focus. So every single day you are what you were able to accomplish in that day, and what you were able to accomplish in that day is dependent on what you're focused on. So every single day, my mindset is to focus on what it is that makes me who I want to be. And then at the beginning of the month or the beginning of the week or the beginning of the day, I try to plan what it is that I would want to do to make me who I want to be. So for some people, that's as complicated or as simple, if however you want to look at it, as writing it down. It can be something so simple as just write it down, and then the next day you see it. Oh, I gotta hit these, and then if you program yourself, meaning habits, and you do it over and over and over again for 21 days, it'll become a habit, and then you're able to do it, and then get yourself on the easy button train. Another video on how to muscle memory yourself into just doing it without having to thinking about it. Then you can start planning all this other training, and you can start planning all these easy buttons, and eventually you'll just be doing things without even knowing you're doing them. But then your brain is focusing on something else in the future that could potentially be working on the next problem and the next issue. but you have to be able to plan your day in order to be able to do that. So first thing that you should plan on maybe is getting a way to document this information. So either it's an app or it's a piece of paper. That's what I would recommend, in the sense of, if the lights go out and the power goes out and there's no internet, are you still going to be able to function? And that would be, is it able to be sustainable every single day? Can everybody do this? Technically speaking, anything to do with a computer is not sustainable, because at some point in time it will fail. It will either, the button won't be clickable, or the device is going to run out of battery, or blank, 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 blank. Somebody programmed it that way. And once you realize that every single thing with technology has to do with somebody designing it to work that way, that would mean that there's a possibility for a flaw, or a possibility that it's just going to stop working entirely, and you're not going to get any benefit out of the device other than that you put all of your hope and plan into this, and then it doesn't work. So planning ahead and understanding that things fail is all part of the situation. So what is going to be able to work tomorrow, and what can you write out and do tomorrow that you're then going to be able to do out and do again and again and again. And the other idea is, maybe what you need to get done is like, I'm never going to have to do it again. So yeah, just write it down, get it written down, so that way you can cross it off. I mean, think of the satisfaction you're going to get when you cross off something off of your list and it turns out that, you got it done. So, if you're able to plan your day, it's like pre-production for a video. Once you go do it, you'll know what to do. Everything will be shorter. There'll be less hems and haws. There'll be less figuring it out. Think about like all the best movies out there. I mean, most of the movie was written and done beforehand, because they had to go through all of the practices and the script writing and all those situations, and then they had to build the sets and they had to do all these things. Think about your life like that, in the sense of build those situations and build those areas. How long could it be that where you have a meeting with somebody that you're setting the room up, and then the meeting's only 10 minutes, but you're setting the whole room up and you're making the food and you're doing all this other stuff, and it's all the setup. Think about that with your life. How can you do it where before the meetings, before the moment that you have to execute, you practice and you do it ahead of time, and you get something, so that way in the moment you have notes, cheat sheets, maybe even you write it on your hand, or whatever the case is. You write the script and then you practice the script, or you program yourself like you're a computer. So if you think about a computer, the schedule that you follow is almost like the computer code that the computer follows. So if you want a computer to execute something, you'd press a button and then it reads the code, and then it knows what to do based on the first line, the second line, the third line. So do that to yourself. Make it to where when you wake up in the morning, every day is like a and then plan for the moments that you really want, which are like the nothing, the states of confusion and bliss, right? Or just a flow state where you're really working on something that you want to work on, as opposed to what you have to work on to pay the bills. Once you're able to understand what it is that makes yourself breathe and eat and drink and do every single day, then you can start planning the next day, and then you can just do those things immediately and ahead of time, and then you can do them in the best way possible that would make you happy. How do you know what's going to make you happy? Because you've never experienced it before. So experience it, write it down, document it, and then plan it for again in the future when it's going to be beneficial to you. Because like I said, in the yin and the yang, there's some things that you want to plan in your day that are extremely resistant, so that way you can build up that like enjoyment and that happiness on the opposite end. And if you're able to think ahead and understand what parts of it and what parts of the brain that you think about and work about, and then when you're going through your day, you're able to think, oh wow, maybe I should do all my planning and I should do all that in the evening, and before I ever expect myself to execute an entire day to my plan, I should write it down, or I should do this and I should do that, and then day after day you'll kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, and then you'll plan your day according to what works with you, and you start flowing with it instead of flowing against it, and stop trying to tell everything what to do, and then Like I said, you can figure out when you're working more with your masculine side, your feminine side, like I said in that other video. And then you can start working with all of these ideas together. But because you're working off of this, paper, and you're working off like this other form of categorizing your thoughts in the form of time, you're not sitting there so worried about fight or flight, and you're able to actually think with your higher consciousness, and it's more like the islands idea. You can jump from island to island because you're planning it. You're planning when you go to safety, when you go to comfort, so that you know when you're in this discomfort moments, you can actually, you know, be okay and be safe, and then know that whenever you get to where you're going to go next, that you'll be in that comfort zone again. So the idea is pre-plan situations in your life, and figure out what it is that you really want to do, and what makes you happy and what's sad. And in the next video, I'll kind of go over more of what variables and aspects you want to put in your life to make it worthwhile or helpful and not helpful. But there's more videos here, and then there's a whole other video series here. Just comment down below, subscribe, link. And then there's a notification bell. So thank you very much. Have a great night, and I appreciate you for watching. Have a good night. Love you.